Hey guys, it's Brandon. Many of you saw about a month ago. I wanted to do a social experiment where I interviewed 100 people or so and asked them one question. I didn't get to 100, I got to 14. Um, and in my post, I never really explained what I wanted to do. So here's my explanation. Um, I asked them all, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it? And all in all, the responses were pretty in line with what I thought they were going to be. But the reason I decided to do this is because I don't think a vast majority of us really understand how fragile and how short of a life we have here on Earth. And many of us may not even know why we're here, but we're just doing life. Um, and so, an eye opener for me um, in about 2015, I decided that I was done working so hard and not doing anything that I love. I had never before 2015. I'd never gone on a crazy adventure. I had never left the country, and so I decided that from then on, I was gonna do the things that I loved. I was gonna go downhill mountain biking. I was gonna buy a motorcycle. I was gonna start pilot's license. I was gonna get into real estate. I was gonna do this. I was gonna do that. Um, and there's still some fear holding me back from pursuing some things. And so this was kind of a reminder that I need to be aware of how short it is. And you see my company's Fearless Properties. I got Fearless Holdings. I got the Fearless Pursuit of Freedom podcast. And I got my favorite quote up here. Fear is a manipulative emotion that can trick us into living a boring life. And I screw up that word every time. But, um, anyways, I think we all get stuck in this, in the monotony of the day to day. We wake up, we may or may not go to the gym, we go to work, we come home, we eat, and we rinse and repeat 5, 6, 7 days a week. And we don't do the things that we truly love. We don't express our love to family and friends the way we want to. We don't do the things and have the experiences and build the memories that we really want to. Um, you guys see me and Ashley doing quite a bit of traveling, and it's at a great expense. We probably shouldn't be doing it, but I fear that any day now, some idiot on the road is going to be texting and ram into us, run us off the road. We're in the hospital. We could just get a simple fender bender. But, you know, with how crazy it is driving, it could be tomorrow that one of us wakes up with a headache and it turns into some life threatening disease. We just don't know. And that's a huge driving factor for me. And we spend way too much on vacationing. And anyways, I didn't. It's not really where I wanted to go with that, but I just wanted to remind um, everybody to just love on the ones that you love, remind them constantly, and in the end, you can't be selfless without being selfish. So take care of yourself, take care of your family, nourish your body, nourish your brain, and just live the best life that you can live and do the things that you love. Because I guarantee you, when you're laying on that deathbed, it isn't gonna be, man, my boss was a jerk. Man, I wish I wouldn't have stole that candy bar in school. No, it's gonna be, man, Canada's so beautiful. I wish I would have gone there. Wish I would have asked that girl to marry me. Wish I would have spent more time with my kids and my friends. Wish I would have took that trip to Australia. It's gonna be all the regrets of what you didn't do that you wanted to do, not what you did do and regretted doing them. But anyway, here's the 14 people I interviewed. Hope you enjoyed. Hope tomorrow you wake up wondering how you can make it a better life. Have a good one, guys. Okay, so the question is, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
If I had 6 months to live, what would I do with it? I would try to. go see my family in Vietnam because I don't see them often. Um, and I would try to visit my family in Germany as well, because we never see each other.
Right.
And then I would, depends on how much strength I have,
Right.
just see, there's just so many people that needs help. Like, not many people get education, like proper education and stuff
Mhm.
like that. Just see where the disparity is and try to help. It's like maybe start a program or something to help kids get educated. Not only that, but not only like kids who don't have a good education, but also kids, like I find that there are school systems, there are so many different school systems, and some school systems are good, some school systems are bad. So try to see where the disparity is and then try to level it out a little bit.
Right.
Not only that, but then also like financial education. I feel like kids, they grow up and they don't know like how to handle their finances.
Right.
And so try to see how to get financial education for the kids, and so that they can know how to file their taxes or know how to handle their money, or, hey, don't spend it all on freaking video games, and, try to
Yeah.
set some aside to invest for later or whatever and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then probably honestly, I love to travel. So, and I love to travel in areas where, of course, everybody wants to go to the Paris and whatever, right? But
Mhm.
me, I love UNESCO. I'm like a history nerd. So I love to go to UNESCO sites like Machu Picchu, just like ruins and stuff like that, just to learn
Yeah.
people's history. Um, what else would I do? And then just to go to, like, in Vietnam, there's always like underprivileged people, see how I can do to help them. So,
Yeah.
because a lot of people, they don't have good nutrition. That's why they're unhealthy, stuff like that.
Exactly. No, it's a great answer. I mean, that's a lot in line of what I would be doing as well. A lot of traveling, a lot of family, a lot of doing the things that I hadn't done before because I thought money or time was an issue. Yeah, and that's pretty in line with what a lot of people are saying as well, but little unique twist here and there.
Awesome.
And then the challenge, and you don't have to tell me the list of names, but I'd like for you to think of 5, 10, or more people that you love and are important to you. And the challenge would be to reach out to them in the next day or two, or like for me, I put a calendar reminder in my calendar because I always forget to reach out to people. And so I just challenge you to think of who's important to you and reach out and just let them know and remind them that you're thinking of them and that you love them.
That is a good challenge, because there are people that we don't see often, and out of sight, out of mind, but they are important to me because life gets busy, right?
Mhm.
And so, actually, funny you asked, I've already reached out yesterday to one of my girlfriends that I haven't seen for a while, that I found out that what she's doing now is volunteering at like the women's shelter, where there's a
Mhm.
lot of sex trafficking for women.
Yeah.
Because I'm Vietnamese, and I didn't know this, but she's like, there's a lot of Vietnamese girls there. I'm like, what? So I reached out to her yesterday once I found out that she was doing that. I was like, let me know, and I'll go help you volunteer whenever you go. So that's cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. You mentioned Machu Picchu, but I go to Peru, do a charity motorcycle ride, but I'm going back out again this July to go to a children's orphanage where there's a lot of impoverished and abused female children, and and then we're going to Nigeria in September. Same deal. About 300 orphan kids out there that we're going to go out and hang out and read books and teach entrepreneurship and such. But it's great. Love it. So
That is awesome. Awesome. Awesome that you're doing that.
cool. Well, I appreciate it. All right. All right. Okay. So, question: if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
Oh, that's a good one. Let's see. If I had 6 months to live, I have enough money to live for 6 months. So probably take a note out of your book and rent a Lambo for a week or so.
Mm-hmm.
Cruise around some scenic roads. You know, if they had a mileage limit on it, I wouldn't care. I'd just drive it as much as I wanted to because I only had 6 months. I'd do a lot of time with Maya and just kind of talking with her and you know, assuming she's not faced with the same 6 month dilemma, be there for her. And then I try to cram a lot of travel in, to be honest.
Yeah.
To probably stick to the U.S. over here on the West Coast, go north to south, and just see what there is out there, and try to take it all in before that 6 month deadline hit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd spend every penny I had, so
Right. Yeah.
Take it with you when you go. So I would make sure there was nothing left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then more of a challenge. I'd like for you to think about 5, 10 or more people that are important to you or you love or whatever you lost connections with, and reach out to them, remind them that you're thinking of them, tell them you love them, all that good stuff. And that's just a challenge. This is the challenge.
All right, I can do that.
Yeah, cool.
I'll start that right after we finish this.
Cool.
Somebody a text message. I already know who to talk to first.
All right. So if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
6 months to live. I have 3 daughters from 13 to 7. So I'd probably just try to explore, do as much, see as much of life with them as I could. And just focus, and with my wife, focus on the time that I have with them and try to get out and take them on some great adventures around the world, but just pretty much be with them around the clock during that time period that we had, you know, and just create as many experiences and memories as I could within that short period. And that would be my main focus, just pouring into my daughters, you know, just for life, what's coming up in life. And, you know, that's kind of a touching thought. It's a little emotional when you think about it.
Right.
But, you know, just you know, what to expect in life and how to handle it, and what to expect for their husbands, you know, going forward, and what they should be looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then second, or question number 2 is, and you don't have to say their names, but I would like to challenge people to think of their 5 to 10 or more most important people in their lives, and to reach out to them and give them a call or a text and just remind them how important they are to you. Because I know I'm at fault of that very often. I'm not very social. And so reaching out to my parents or my brothers and sisters is a task sometimes. So I often have to remind myself to go do that.
Sure. No, I have the exact same thing. That I've recently read a book, and it was challenging you to reach out, at least set a goal to contact them, you know, once a week, 2 or 3 times a week, something like that. And it is a struggle, just a simple text, you know, to say, hey, thinking about you. And I know I'm very guilty of I haven't followed through with that challenge, and I need to be more proactive with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've actually ended up setting up calendar reminders in my calendar. So every third day it's, hey, message this list of people. Otherwise it's not because I don't love the people that are around me. It's just, I forget. You get stuck in the day to day, and
you get focused on a goal and kind of tunnel vision there to get that goal done and that outer stuff. But that's, you know, that's a challenge, because that's what makes you successful in one way. But sometimes that tunnel vision, you need to open up and see the other people that you're maybe zipping by, your close family members, that you're trying to focus on a goal.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So the question is, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
The ultimate question.
Yeah.
So pretty much my biggest thing is, would I have money or no money?
Well, I would say with just current resources,
Current position.
like if somebody was texting on the road and they ran you off and you ended up in the hospital and the doctor says, whatever, something happened and they don't see you living past 6 months. Um, let's just assume that you have the ability to move about after you've left the hospital, but the span is 6 months left. Um, what do you think you do with it?
So ideally, I would reflect on and see who the most important people are in my life. Right now, it's my kids and my immediate family. Obviously, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm married, so they're the most important to me. My parents, obviously. But yeah, it would really be able to spend as much time with them as possible.
Yeah.
But kind of cash out pretty much all my different accounts and investments. Kind of just take that, make sure that's liquid for them.
Yeah.
Kind of make sure my wife understands our financials and where everything's at.
Yeah.
For that purpose. But I'll try to be really just be with them every minute I could be, and try to give them some experiences that we haven't experienced together yet.
Yeah.
Let it be many memories, and really record it. To be honest, I love video, so I would try to record it as much as possible, and just make sure they have trying to instill in them the life values I learned and pass on as much as I can.
Right. No, great answer. If you don't mind me asking, you probably see a lot of this in your field of work. I'm sure there's been times where people were given that similar diagnosis with people you've helped being a firefighter, because most people don't know that firefighters are first responders. They're the first ones to provide medical aid, and it's primarily medical aid versus firefighting, which a vast majority of the civilians think of. I don't know how or what I want to ask, but there's got to be situations where you've ran into people that have been forcefully faced with the question we're asking now. Is they just got into a motor vehicle accident or whatever, and they have to think about those things. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, in his time, he's gone to senior living facilities and has spent time with them and talked about their last few years on this earth and about the experiences that they did or didn't have.
Sorry about that.
There
I
you
stepped
are.
outside, so hopefully I get better service. But it's been bad service all day.
Yeah, no big deal.
So you're right though. What I last heard you say was, being a firefighter, dealing with sick people or traumatic incidences and how that plays about. And to be honest, I did 13 years in the military, so I'm a veteran as well. And for a short time, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of death, unfortunately, and it does hit home pretty close. Especially with children. Being in the fire department, there's a lot of I guess Make-A-Wish foundations and special trips that people try to make to the firehouse for their kids to give experience. Participated in a couple of those Make-A-Wish situations and giving a kid an experience, and
Right.
It hits home. It's really sad to see that. So you try to bring joy and happiness and let them experience that as much as possible. But that's a big thing for me is kids being sick or injured or hurt or any of that, not being able to live the life that we have or have had so far. is part of my big why is contributing to kids and health and trying to just give them the better life as much as possible.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. No, I appreciate your service and your continued service through the service, the fire department there.
Thank you.
Actually, I'd love to talk to you more in depth about that in the future, but for time's sake, we'll go on to the challenge. For me, I know I have a good deal of problems trying to keep up with people that are important to me, whether that be family, loved ones, or business relations. I challenge you to reach out to, make a list of 5, 10, 50, 100 people of, your top importance or most important people in your life. And just to, if you haven't talked to them in a while, reach out to them and, just remind them that you're thinking about them. And just let them know that, if it's a family member or loved one, that you love them, and business relation or whatever, that you haven't forgot about them or whatever the case is. But that'd be my challenge for you.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate that. It's definitely, you can always do more and reach out and connect, because that's always a hard part, putting things off, saying tomorrow I'll do it, or I'll call them, or I'll see them soon. And life's way too short.
Exactly. All right, Helena. So the question is if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
Get as much of this foundation done as what I can possibly do.
Okay. And then my challenge to you would be to think of the top 5, 10, 15 people that are important to you, whether loved ones, friends, business relations, and to reach out to them and let them know, or let them know how much that you love them and how important they are to you.
With the exception of my son, I can do that in a heartbeat.
All righty. Well, perfect. It was that simple. All right, Mr. Jake, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
Oh, man. So I love this question. I know that I had talked to you about it when I messaged you after you started the podcast. So I think it's just definitely spending time with, my wife and family and stuff. That's ultimately what it comes down to. I think that's definitely playing on one of my biggest fears, is just not having enough time. So if I had only 6 months, man, it's just got to be spending time with them and just doing whatever I could just to get those last moments in.
Right. Yeah. That's the same deal here. Is I get wrapped up in work so often that it's hard for me to detach. And so I've made a pretty big conscious effort here in the past few months to, when the girls get done with school and they're done with homework, I'm out of the office. I'm out there. We're playing video game, or, actually we do play video games, board games, or a movie. And then the phone stays in the other room. So I made that big effort. And last year, getting the VAs, the virtual assistants, really freed up a lot of my evening time, because I spent a lot of time just doing monotonous tasks all evening after I got done with everything else. But and then spending that with the girls and traveling and showing them the world is like my number one. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think for sure. I think it's just so easy, especially just, we're in a big transition period in our life too. So just trying to do all that extra work, and that's the hardest thing for me, is trying to live in those moments and like the present, and just kind of, obviously working towards the future, but you gotta stay present, just enjoy what you have now too. And just like you said, creating those experiences and stuff. And it's a big perspective. And I know that, I think you posted something recently about having like a big scare or something like that, that kind of changed a little bit of your perspective too.
I always thought I had some issues for a minute. I did make a brief post about it, but almost every single time I get in the truck now, you're seeing like 60% of the drivers next to you on their cell phones.
Oh,
and
definitely.
so like almost every time I get in the car, I'm like, holy crap, like any one of these idiots over here can run me off the road right now, and I'll be laying in the hospital bed by this afternoon.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and the same thing. I mean, my dad just went in the hospital, a couple months ago, and it was the same. Like when I first left, just watching him go and just get worse and worse. He has like a COPD issue, and I ended up leaving at one point, dude. I didn't even know if I was gonna see him again, and so that's like it's the kind of stuff like that, it just comes out of nowhere, and it's just totally like, man, I need to spend more time with him because I get so wrapped up and stuff, and then I don't see him for a couple months, and it's just one of those things where now I'm trying to make time to go get brunch with them just on a random Saturday and
Right.
just stuff like that. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can only imagine what he's thinking.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
He's thinking the same thing you're thinking. Oh man, I haven't spent time with Jake lately, or even just random dreams that he had been thinking about his whole life. Like for me, I thought getting my pilot's license was unattainable, but now I'm damn near done with it. I'm like, why the hell did I wait till I'm 32 to do this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think everybody has like that. Everybody has dreams, and oftentimes you think they're unattainable for whatever reason: time, money, situation, location, whatever. But and that's just my post the other day. It's probably been about a week now, but every week I make the girls redo their dream and hobby list and not only for me to get an idea of what they like, but to get them thinking about unrealistic things. I mean, I guess she wants, like my daughter wants to be an astronaut. She can be a freaking astronaut, but she needs to be, thinking about that now and knowing that it's attainable, but you got to bust your ass.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's things I often think about. And then the challenge is, I have a big problem of remembering or just simply slipping my mind to reach out to people that are important to me, business relations, family, everything. So, challenge you to, make a list of 5, 10, 15, 100 people that, you haven't spoken to in a while to, either family, let them know you love them, best friend you haven't talked to in forever, or even business relations, just reach out. I mean, I'm sure you saw my Facebook rampage a few days ago. I was like, man, there's so many people I need to reach out to and let them know, like even a brief conversation. I remember that conversation. Just let them know I appreciate it. So, I mean, I started a list. It's probably about 40 people I messaged the other day. But that's just business relations right there. I have another list of personal relations on my desktop and an Excel file. And then I have calendar reminders to, hey, freaking message Mike or David or my mom. And so, because a month ago by, I'm like, I haven't even talked to Mike in a month. I'm like, what the hell? So I gotta put, absolute reminders to do those things, because
that's awesome. Yeah.
It's hard for me to remember all
the same way. Yeah. Cause there's certain people, I mean, obviously like there's friends and stuff that I've been super close with, and you always, everyone goes on their path and just kind of start to disconnect, and it's always good. That's definitely a good thing. And I think it'll be good too, just for me transitioning, the career and stuff. I want to reach out to people too, and just make sure I'm talking to everybody and everything. So.
All right. So the question is if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
If I had 6 months to live, what would I do with it? I think I would first off make some amends with obviously some people in my life, but more importantly, what I would do is I would just spend as much time with as many people as the people I love as much as I can.
Yeah.
And just do as much as I can. Make the most of every day.
Right. Yeah, and let's see. And then, well, actually, this parlays pretty easily into the next. Well, it's more of a challenge. Is to think of 5, 10, 15, however many people that are important to you in your life, and to reach out to them and either make those amends or just simply let them know that you're thinking about them. Or whatever the case is, depending on the relationship.
Done.
Good deal, man.
Done. Yeah. Where do I post it to show that I'm done?
The question is, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
cashing out everything and just spending time with the friends and family and traveling more.
Yeah.
I don't have kids or anything that I would need to leave stuff to, so I could just use it all up. And
That's the way to do it. All right.
yeah, that's what we're working towards anyways, like that freedom that everybody wants.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my, I have to constantly remind myself of, why am I working so hard? And is it to build a massive empire, or is it just to my freedom? And I'm always in a battle of, am I building the empire to lead to my kids and then they end up being spoiled, or do I need to make just enough so we can have the life we want to live and travel and such?
Right.
And then a little bit of a challenge would be to, like, for me, I have a hard time remembering to reach out to family, friends, and, business acquaintances and partners, and just to constantly reach out to them, let them know that I'm still thinking about them, love them, all those things, and appreciate everything they've done. So challenge would be to think of your top 5, 10, 15, 100 people, whatever the number is, and just, for me, I got to remind myself to reach out to my brothers and sisters and even my mom and just let them know, hey, I'm thinking about you, love you, miss you. And same thing with people that I've learned from, even on just Facebook. Hey, we've never met, but we had a conversation at one point that really changed the curvature of my business. I appreciate that. And so just challenge you to do the same thing. Reach out to people you haven't talked to in a bit and just let them know.
Yeah. Definitely, I agree. Like, I don't, because we're so busy doing things and trying to get ahead, and that's when we forget about, like, keeping up some of those relationships and that kind of thing. And Nancy and I just said, this year we just set up something where we're hoping to have an open house every, like, once a month, where people can just stop by if they want, and we can barbecue some food or, like, do whatever and hang out and catch up and that kind of thing. So hopefully that catches on a bit.
All right. So if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
Good question. I don't know that I'd do anything different. I think I would probably just keep living and doing as long as I could. Doing what I'm doing.
Right. Okay. All right, easy enough. And then second question, well, it's not really a question, it's more of a challenge. But try to think of the top 5, 10 plus people that are important to you. And the challenge would be to reach out to them today and let them know how important they are. Question, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
Man, with 6 months to live, I would travel, see as much as I could see, and give everything away that I could to someone that was willing to take it and do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because for me, I for a while I was forcing myself to think about this question and many others. And really it's been the driving factor for me and Ashley and the girls traveling so much. But, life is fragile. I mean, and I think about quite literally every time I get in the truck there's so many people freaking texting and driving right now. It could literally be this afternoon on my way to pick up the girls that some idiot runs me off the road. So and I post the same post on Facebook pretty frequently. If I was laying in my deathbed, would I be there thinking about all the things I wish I would have done and the people and relationships I wish I would have kept and built better and stronger? Or am I going to lay there with my family around me talking about all the badass stuff I did in the world and how many places I visited and how many people I met in other countries? And so that's a big, big driving factor in my day-to-day. And I probably spend way too freaking much on traveling. Well, in fact, I know I do, but money's easy to make, but the memories aren't. So that's why I did the social deal. I know you're good at it, especially after hearing you and your boy talk back at the Kingdom event. But
man, I just did a live and drive yesterday, and I literally caught myself like 2 seconds into it. I'm like, this is so dumb. I preach against texting and driving. I literally pulled into a parking lot. You look at my live and drive, it's like 20 seconds of me driving, and I'm in a parking lot the rest of the time. So I'm not and my wife and I have had this talk, and so you look, there's actually one angry face on there. My wife was not happy with me. But man, you're right. Life is way too short, man. I mean, heck, losing a son at 27 years old, and then my wife taking her life, a year and a half later, and then losing everything, bro. Like ever since, that's one of the reasons why I try to give back as much as I do for that same reason, man. And dude, I travel way more than I probably should, and so heck, we were just in New York, Las Vegas, LA, and Chicago in the last week and a half. And
jeez,
after Chicago, I was just like, click. I turned my phone off, and I'm just like, let's just do this. And Cran and I and Kathy was along the first leg of the trip. She stayed in Chicago while he and I went to these other events, and we just hung out, man. I didn't post any other pictures other than Chicago because that's my city, man. That's where I'm from, right? But yeah, I mean, we just hung out, man. Rode the little scooters all over San Diego, and dude, it was crazy cool, man.
Yeah. I it's really hard for me to say no to people asking me to go to different parts of the world now. I'm like, man, what else do I have going on this year? Can I squeeze it in? Can I afford it? All these different things. And so we've got Saturday, and I'm going to post about it on Facebook, but we got invited to go to Nigeria, and
really,
it's going to be it's a Christian mission trip where the primary mission for going there is to provide clean water. So we provide filters, or they provide filters, and a lot of ministry. Then I've been asked to teach the young men entrepreneurship, so I'm freaking super, super stoked about that. It's gonna be awesome.
Dude, that's so cool, man. I didn't know you were involved in stuff like that, man. Thank you.
So we went to Peru last year, and it was kind of like a raise awareness for the Dudes Foundation. But we're going back to Peru again in July, and we're going to go a week earlier to go hang out at the orphanage. And it's an all-female orphanage, but we're going to, go there and, this from kids from baby on up to 18, but we're going to go there, read books, help them build the walls around the facility, build new units out. But yeah, it's a pretty big, I don't care how much it costs. That's my goal. That's my why, aside from family. And of course, I still like all the fancy stuff, I still want the Lambo, but that's my core focus is, making sure I can impact as many people as I can, man.
I love it. We should put together like a guys trip, man. Like for guys like you and I that want to just go do stuff like that. Like I've been talking about it, but I've got nobody in my circle. Like I'm trying to branch out because I've been a hermit, like working virtually for the last 7 years. Like I'm realizing I'm becoming like depressed to a certain extent. And that's why I'm getting out this last like 9 months, 12 months and doing all this traveling, because it's like, I'm not doing anything but, benefiting my family sitting here in the office,
All right, Corey. So if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
Oh, well, obviously, I try to fill as much of that time as possible with some travel and building some bonds with the family and spending as much time with them as possible. And I guess making sure my affairs were in order to set them up for the rest of their lives as best as I could.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why, I know myself in particular, I get wrapped up in the day to day. And, obviously this past year, we've done our best to spend more time together as family. The phone stays in the other room. We go on a lot of vacations. We go camping. But that hasn't always been the case. And you haven't seen my wall yet, but every time we go traveling, I grab something. And so my office here is my reminder that although I'm working on my computers here, I got to concentrate on what's most important, and that's life and family.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if you knew that part of my story, Brandon, but about 15 years ago, I had that bad motorcycle accident. I told you I broke 5 vertebrae in my neck, and they actually had the entire family come in from around the country to say their goodbyes so they could unplug me. Didn't think I was going to make it. First person ever break their neck in 5 places and live. But long story short, I ended up surviving. I pulled through, and it really gave me an appreciation, I guess you'd say, for life.
Yeah.
Spending a few months in a coma and then actually getting re-released, it was like seeing grass and trees for the first time. The colors were so vivid. And I guess it instilled a sense of urgency in me then.
Right.
That unless you've been through something like that, most people don't get to experience it. So I've been pushing like it was the last 6 months of my life for the last 6 or 7 years, probably. So
That's right. I forget you had that accident, but I mean, you had the whole halo harness and everything, right?
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, yeah. I tried to in my interviews that I've done so far. I think I've done, I don't know, something about 20 now. But I always make the analogy, well, not really analogy, but it's a statement really that, I mean, there's so many people texting and driving right now. It could literally be this afternoon that somebody runs you off the road, and then you're laying in the hospital bed wondering, what the hell did I do with my life? And all you're going to think about is the regrets of either A, not accomplishing what you wanted to do, or B, not spending that time with the family. And I sure as hell don't want to be, laying there with that, the weight of that burden. So that's primarily why I'm doing this, is to not only help myself to stay on that mindset of this could be over soon, but to always push myself to explore the whole earth.
Absolutely. I love your whole mind. It's one of the reasons why I follow you so closely. The cheating on your fears or attacking your fears is something that pushed me, and I live by every day. You're actually one of the people that inspired me to even consider ever getting my pilot's license. I've been looking into that, and never in my life considered that. Heights has always been one of my fears.
Got to do it.
I told myself, look, if I'm going to live this and face all my fears, then that needs to be one of them. So I've been asked to go up in the plane with a few guys and getting ready to start down that journey too.
It's awesome, man. Okay. Well, that was the one question. And then I've got a little bit of a challenge. You probably already are on top of a lot of it, but I know myself personally, being so stuck in the day-to-day, I oftentimes will not necessarily forget, but it slips my mind in times of reaching out to people that are important to me and that I appreciate and love. So I would challenge you to reach out to, if it's 5, 10, 15, 100 people, just reach out, let them know you appreciate them, you love them, or whatever the situation is. It's been a big push of mine. I obviously saw a few days ago, I went on a Facebook rampage before Facebook blocked me from doing more posts that day. But, I literally had to set calendar reminders to reach out to people, old friends, even my freaking mom. It's so hard for me to remember everybody that I need to keep up with. And so not only do I have a list of my appreciation list here that I've started building, I have another list on my computer of Excel of business relations I've got to keep up with. And then I have a calendar invite every single week to reach out to my close friends that I haven't talked to in either months or years even. And then another one for, just simply messaging my mom, because I'll forget for 2 weeks. And I'm like, holy crap, I didn't even talk to my mom in a while. So I got lists everywhere that I need to keep up with.
Yeah, I wish I was as organized or as detailed as you are. I don't have anything like that list. I'm probably just as bad at it as you, if not worse, I'm sure. My family's just kind of always been that way. We'll go 10 years without talking to each other.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I'm trying to change, but I accept that challenge. I've seen you doing it on Facebook the last few days, man, and it touched me. I mean, matter of fact, I've got some screenshots of some of the people. So.
All right. Okay. So the question is, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
That's a good question.
Uh-huh.
No preparation or anything.
No, that's the point. That's the point.
Okay, if I had 6 months to live, what would I do with it? Probably would try to knock out all the things that I wanted to do in those 6 months. So probably get married, try to have a kid before then, but that's not, I don't think that's possible.
No.
Probably knock some things off my bucket list. I've done a lot of things on the bucket list already though.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I'd probably be looking for ways to live longer. So
Yeah.
I think if it had something to do like with diet or something,
Mhm.
I would be changing that diet in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Try to heal my body.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably what I do.
Okay, cool. And then more of the challenge part is I'm having everybody think about their 5, 10 or more people that are important to them and who they love. And I challenge them to reach out to them today or in the next coming days to let them know that they're important to you.
Okay, cool.
All right. So today's question is, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do with it?
6 months to live, what would I do with it? Number one, I'd probably unplug from work altogether. Number two, I would restore any broken relationships. Number three, I would spend a lot of time with my wife and family and friends and loved ones, and collectively at the same time travel with them. So not just spending time at home, but spending time doing what we want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's something I would do for sure. Yeah. And I try to think about this nearly daily. And it's a question I ask on every single podcast interview I do, but it's more of try to get everybody in the here and now and really think about, what they're doing and with their lives. So I think a lot of us get stuck in ruts and we don't think about what really matters, and that's enjoying life. And so I want to make a big montage of all these videos I record. And then I think about 3.5, 4 weeks, I'll get it out. Yeah.
That's awesome. I read a story, it's probably been a couple years, and it was a story of a lady from Florida who I believe her age was like mid-70s, and she was diagnosed with cancer. And I don't recall which cancer it was. It's not really the point of the story. But she was diagnosed with cancer, and the doctor says, okay, we're going to start treatments, and this is what we're going to do. And she's like, no, we're not going to do any treatments. And then the doctor's like, well, you're going to pass away. And she's like, that's okay. It's inevitable anyways. And so she went home. She sold everything she had, and she rented a motorhome. And her and her girlfriends, and I think one of them was her sister, traveled the U.S. She had always wanted to see all of these different places in the U.S. and never got to see them.
Yeah.
So she spent it was like a year to 18 months just traveling around the U.S.
Really?
When she got so weak that she couldn't handle it anymore and she knew, her time had come, she went back home and passed away. But she got to kind of back to your question, her answer was, I'm going to go sell everything I have and go travel.
Right.
There's all these beautiful places in the U.S. and she'd never seen throughout her entire 70 plus years of living. And she's like, I'm not going to go do the doctor thing. I know it's going to happen and this is what I want to do. So cool. It was a story that really kind of left a mark for me, that even at that age, people still have dreams and there's things that they want to, for lack of better words, rectify and cross off their bucket list. So cool stuff. Yeah,
that's another thing I try. I should have actually put that into my little montage, but I oftentimes, as often as I can anyways, is try to think about, what if I get in an accident, say, or if I do end up living a full and happy, healthy life, but 75, 85 rolls around and I know I'm going to pass soon, but I'm just overburdened with regrets and I don't want to do that. So that's another motive to why I do this.
No, it's cool.
Yeah. The challenge is I'd like for you to think of 5, 10 plus more people that are important to you and that you love, and reach out to them. If you haven't talked to them, remind them and let them know that they're important, that you love them.
That's awesome. I'll definitely do that. It's always a great thing to do. And our lives tend to get busy and we forget and great intentions, but it's the action part that means the most. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll definitely take that challenge and do it. That's awesome.
Family, to basically have the best, life that they could, like based on everything that I've learned in 33 years.
Mhm.
I think I've spent my last 6 months, just spending time with them. But I think I would definitely try to leave them with knowledge in order for them to be the best in life. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. And the challenge is I'm asking everybody to think of their top 5, 10, 15, 20 people that they love and who are important to them. And the challenge would be to reach out to them and reconnect, remind them, say sorry, say I love you. Everything you've been meaning to say but haven't because of time. Shit gets in the way. And you forget to reach out to people. Time at work, everything flies by. So for me, I've literally got to put calendar reminders in my email because there's so many people I forget to reach out to, even my own family. So that's a challenge.
Okay. So I'll accept the challenge. I'll reach out to as many people as I can that I have lost touch with, and I'll reconnect with them.
Yeah. Even long lost friends. I mean, I've been in Texas about, 3.5 years ago. But a lot of the people I used to hang out with in Arizona, I forget sometimes. So, they're on my list. I've literally built an Excel sheet of, business relations that I need to reach out to once, twice a month, family, friends, the work. So, challenge you to do the same or something similar.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's it.
Cool.